See you next week. I can't leave the meeting. Got it. Okay. Now the talk is about the Bureau of Engraving and Printing from the US and some hidden treasures. In it, we're going to look at series of notes. These are all codes within our bills. We're going to look at serial numbers. We're going to look at see if it's a star note. There's plate position. There's obverse plate number, and there's reverse plate number. So I'll go into a little bit of detail here, but not as much as what I wanted to because of the time that we spent here. Sorry about that. Plate position, I just want to point out that the bills that we have in small from 1928 to date, there could be plate position of 12, 18, 32, or even 50 now. They could be printed in Washington, D.C. up until about, I think it was 88. That was the only place. They decided that if something happened, like an earthquake or a bomb or whatever, we couldn't print money, so they wanted another facility. So we made one calling the Western Printing Facility. It's in Fort Worth. And the only difference with the Fort Worth bill and the regular bill is Fort Worth will be, FW will be in the front plate position. Reverse plate is a little bit larger in the Fort Worth bills than with the ones done in Washington. There's smaller other subtleties like narrow margins, wide margins, mules, or even ink colors. And we'll get to the ink colors first. I won't go into the mules or the margins. It's too long to talk to get all that stuff involved. But there was red for U.S. notes, blue for silver certificates, green seals for Federal Reserve, and there were other colors. We'll talk about those two other colors later on in the talk. In the series is like the dating of the bill. Even though it says 2017, these were not printed only in 2017. They were printed from 2017 through 2019. The last two series, 2017 notes and 2017A are there. As you can see, the dates, October through July, October 2017 through July 2019 for the printing of the 2017 notes. And it was a very short and abbreviated set. And then we went into the 2017A. That was because some inks were changed. Now you can see the 2017A over to the right side of the screen. The ones, the twos, the fives, 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s are all being printed, and they're ongoing. But there has been a change in one of the signatures. Let's see, she came in January 26, 21. So that will be on our next series of notes after the 2017A. There's a serial number, and you notice on this serial number, there's an A on one end and a B on the other end. The A is because it's the Federal Reserve of Boston, and the B is because it's the second round of printing. In other words, we went through all of those numbers on the AA bill, and now we're up to 95 on the B series. Then as soon as they trip all those bills, they'll go to the C. There's a star. That's if one of the notes are damaged during printing, they have to keep them in serial sequence so they can hand out a stack of 100 bills. And so they slip a star note sheet in there. And those are very coveted because there's only about 0.3% of star notes out there. Plate position. Plate position is where on the plate it was printed. Because this is a large F and a large 4, that tells me that this is a 50 note plate. And it was on the F line in the 4th position. It would go from A through J and 1 through 5. 5 goes across and the letters go down on the plate. I didn't have enough room with me to bring an uncut sheet of that one in. Obverse plate number, that is the actual plate, not the position. So that's the 61st plate that was used. And that would be on the press at the position of the, this one back here, F4. The reverse plate number is, again, on the other side of the plate with the printing. They're printed 2 different times, one reverse, one obverse. The reverse is all done first, then the obverse is done, and they stack them up. But you can see the 52. If you look over on the, well, you can't see it on this one, it's truncated off. But it shows that it was 57 on that other green bill to the right. In my opinion, this is the penultimate $2 A bill. As you can see, every place that there's a code on that bill, there's an A involved in it. And I just purchased that. Oh, it moved. I had crossed out Ricky and Scoppa was underneath here for the slide. So I moved the, to show more of the signatures. I moved the other part as well. So the only thing that didn't have an A on it and would never have an A is the reverse plate number. You've got 12 Federal Reserves, 1 through 12 and A through L. They're the names of the cities. They start in the east in Boston and go all the way across to San Francisco. Federal Reserve notes are in green. That's why there's green seal. And by the way, the Federal Reserve is the only notes being printed as we talked in 2022. In the past, there were red seals, blue seals, gold seals, brown seals, and even a yellow one. The brown and the yellow were due to World War II. They're shown in the on the back display that I've got there. I've got the whole set of the Hawaii notes and the whole denominations of the North African emergency. Red seals, there's $1 notes and red seals. There's a seal. $2 notes. There's the seal. It was just on the other side of the bill. $5. That was on the right. Now we go to blue seals. Those are silver certificates, typically 1, 5s, and 10s. You can see the one in the background with the blue seal here. There's the $1 bill. We went to only Federal Reserve notes in '63, and because we took silver out in '64, it was no longer the obligation to pay in silver. $5. The bars were in '63. I think they were 63B. Is that correct, Jen?
I think so, and they were all Federal Reserves.
He was only in office for about 3 months.
They didn't have notes from all of the Federal Reserve banks, only I think about 7.
Yeah. So there's a 10. It's not in quite as good a shape as the other. I had to take a picture of this one. I don't have a $100 gold. Most all the pictures except for this one are my collection. And there were other bills that were in the gold as well. And the small of the 100 was the main one. Hawaii, you can see the Hawaii over to the right-hand side. That was on the left side of the bill as well. And you can see faintly in the back, there's an H and an A. It was open printing, and they are on the reverse of the bill. This came about after Pearl Harbor. They were thinking about going to script, only having red script and have burn bags. So in case the Japanese did overrun Pearl Harbor, they could get rid of the bills. And the federal Treasury did not want to do that. So they printed the brown seal and with Hawaii overprinted. And if something happened, they could just demonetize it immediately and say the brown seals are worth nothing. And they did that. That was in the martial law book. I gave a talk about these down in Moravia at one of the historic houses down there. And the gentleman gave me a book, and it's the reprint of the martial law. That was my thank you for coming down and giving the talk. There are $5 notes, but these are not silver certificates. They're Federal Reserve. There's $10, again, Federal Reserve, and $20 notes, and that makes the whole denomination series. So there are 1 silver certificates, and all the rest were Federal Reserve. So these were all printed out at 12, which is San Francisco. Now we look at North African. The $1 was silver certificate. So that denotes that not only the blues, but the yellows were there. This did the same thing. They gave these bills to the troops when they went over to the European theater in North Africa. And that's why they got the North African emergency bills. That was so we wouldn't have to pillar and plunder. We could trade bills and get an exchange for local currency and then buy stuff. So the troops were not supposed to just take stuff. There's the $5, $10. Notice that one's a star. I worked hard to find that one.
Which color seal is most notable?
Depends on the note and depends on the series. If you get a star in the F series of the Hawaiian notes, there was only 12,000 of the regular notes printed and very few stars printed. So that would be my guess as being the most valuable one. Here's all the Hawaii notes. There's what I'll call a block set. There are 8 different blocks. It's the first and the last letter in the serial number is denoted as a block. And then you'll see the Federal Reserves underneath that. The F series up here is the hardest one to find because that is only one of 12,000 that were printed, and probably that many have not survived to this point. I bought that one and had it graded, and I was pretty happy with the 40 on that one. There are the ones from North Africa. You'll see the 10s and the stars on the top there. And I got a 20 when I graded that one. I was happy with that as well. The other side is a little bit of fun. We were in the midst of fighting the Japanese, and that's the only place where we could get silk from. So silk was in high demand. We needed silk for parachutes. So they didn't want to put silk in the dollar bills like they normally do. On the, it's not going to see it, but there are blue and red threads throughout the bill. And they had to find another way to do that. So the R in all of the literature, in all the books here, it says that's regular and S is special. And I was giving a talk to the junior club, and Art Cohen was in there, and I was saying that, tapped me on the shoulder after the thing. He goes, "You're wrong." I said, "I'm wrong?" I said, "Every bit of the literature tells me I'm right." He goes, "No, I was there." S stands for silk and R stands for rayon. I said, "Okay, thank you." And then I started to do some research. I can't find where it's printed, but that is buried in the archives. I've asked the Bureau of Engraving and Printing about it. They can't help me. Then I started thinking, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing is very, very precise on how they do their numbering. They always number the control last. So I looked, see what the bills are. Sure enough, S is higher serial number than the R. So S was the control because that was the silk that we were using, and R was the rayon. So I wrote an article, sent it into the numismatist. They published it. And then Barbara, and I'm blanking on her last name, Gregory called me up and said, "Are you going to go to Philadelphia?" I said, "I haven't planned on it." She goes, "Well, you better plan on it. You got third place in the nation for your article, and we got to give you an award." So John Lighthouse sat in the back of my car going down with my wife in front with me. I think there was somebody else with us too. Scott Feibush. And they were all mad because I had snow tires on and it was only so that's the fun on the cheesecake bed. Yep. So here are the blue seals, the red and the red R and the red S. That was the worst trial that the Bureau of Engraving and Printing ever did. They made it so obvious that they were doing something that they took all the bills out of circulation quick, and they never got to see how they circulated and what they did. But they learned from that. And if you go to the web note series, that was done in 88 through series 88A through 95, 3 different series. They were very discreet on how they numbered them and what they changed. And all those circulated. I got one and I didn't know what it was. And I was looking for something else. And I said, "Well, there's something missing on it." And the plate position was missing because they did it on roll rather than on plate. So that got me started on web notes. That's a whole nother talk though. So I think, okay, I passed out to everybody a double digit, I'll call it AA or through LL. You can only find these very infrequently. I've been going through thousands of bills looking for stuff, and I picked out all the Ds. I think most of you got a DD, and a couple got some AAs towards the end. I didn't know how many were going to be here. So I haven't found a JJ yet, but that can only be have the doubles on the J's. It could have a plate position, but it can't go through the plate and the number. So I'm looking for an AA with all ones for the $1 bill. So everything on the bill will be an A or a 1. Serial number in there, A in the name of the people that signed it, stuff like that. So that's how I kill some time looking for stuff like that. You can see the LL, but you'll never find a plate position until we go to a larger than 50 plate for the LL. If we look at $1 notes, there are 10 major different ones from 1928 to date. I won't bore you and go through everything. $2 notes, there's only 5 major ones. $5 notes, there's 21. $10 notes, there's 19. $20 notes, there's 16. 50s, there's 14. Oh, we're cut off on the bottom, so you don't see the lowest one. And then 16 for the $100 notes. So if you want a complete typeset, though, that's what you would be looking for. Time for questions, if anything.
Jason, in the back,
Jason? Yeah.
where can we get the list?
What list?
The
This
list
list
of the,
here?
the typeset list.
I do it, I've got a Word with it, I cut the word out, put on that page here, I could send that to whoever would like it. But there's one place that I go to for almost all my information, that's US paper money info. And I can pull it up on out of here and go into uspapermoney.info. Okay. Here it is. They list everything. Serial number tables. We're going to 17 for the $1 bills. I can tell you what month, what serial numbers were printed.
Who produces that site?
I go back and forth with a site manager. And I don't know
So
his name.
it's not just, it's not the.
No. It's somebody else. So over here on the side, I don't know if I can, yeah, I can enlarge that. You can see how many, so there is the star notes on the left side. So you can see how many star notes are printed. So if you find a star note, you can see that there was only one print run of the E, but there were 4 print runs of the F. So F's are going to be easier to find in the K's and the L's. So.
How far back in time is that slavery?
It will go back to 28, but you won't have these numbers in 28. I'll go back.
It's Federal Reserve notes?
No. Main page. U.S. currencies, sitting on the tables. History of designs. So here's the history of the small from 28 through 2008.
It looks like it's only the small size notes.
Yes. So main page. And then what's neat about it here is the chronology. Here's all the different signers over to the left and the times that they would assign. So I can go in and I can look and see that the only bills that were made during World War II were under the signatures of Julian and Morgenthau. So if I want to collect World War II bills, I know I've got to look for those 2 signatures. And all the other series are on there. You can see that there are quite a few series that had of the suffix added on to them.
And it appears this does not include national banknotes.
I don't think so.
That's another collecting area all by itself.
You got Chuck with chat there.
Yeah, it says Chip's talk was another grand slam, comprehensive and very interesting.
Let's see. Features of current notes. So that will go into all of the different things, what things are, where they are in the bill versus the old. So. Help you, Jason?
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Another one in the back.
Yep.
Okay, if you were just looking through your bill, probably what and you were not very sophisticated, look for the color. Stars. What would you do?
You would, the first thing I do is I I sort them by year. So I'll look, I know the signature, so I'll be looking at the signature and I can file up bills there that way. I try to find the stars. And then at that point, I will start looking for more sophisticated stuff like the double digits, the plate position and stuff.
How big of a market is this? Take the money versus point money.
Go on eBay, there's a lot. People look at stuff in the serial numbers, those what they call birthday bills. You'll see if I find 8/7/1950, I found in the serial number I found my birthday bill, type thing. So you look for radar notes. There's 8 digits there, so you start at the center and work out, and they got to be paired all the way out.
Very low serial.
Very low serial numbers, very high serial numbers. Rungs or ladders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be really nice bill to find.
They
They're
didn't
handing-
need them.
They were handing them out to the troops.
So the highest, there's one's highest by a lot.
Yeah. $10. My dad was giving somebody one over, but he lost them all in the poker game before we got there.
Was it the Hawaii the same or no?
Hawaii went up to 20s. Yeah. There was Federal Reserve, the 5s, 10s, and 20s.
What typically worth $1 start out for?
Yeah, for a circulated one, I would generally buy them for $1, $1.25 type thing. Not too much more over the face, but other bills. I found a ATM that spit out dollar bills. They would cash a check and you could go down to the penny. And my son called me up and said, "Dad, they got star notes in there."
Come on down.
There were ones. They came out in serial sequence. So I said, okay. If I wanted to get the stars and the ones, I could only take a $4 out. If you took a 5 out, you got the $5 bill. So if you took 4 out, you got 4. So I got about 400 in serial sequence. But it's 4, and then people behind you honk it to get in. So my wife got a call.
So you play the ATMs like the slot machine?
Yeah. And I did get some of those graded, and I got some 67s out of that.
Nice.
They were nice. Mike left, when his eyes got about this big when I showed him some of the ones that graded. Another group came back all 58s. They were a little bit off center for them or something, but there was no difference in my eye between the 58s and the 67s. I can't tell.
It's just supposed to show how bad, right?
Yeah. So my wife got a call, and it was the bank. They said there was some strange activity
On your account.
on your account. She goes, "Yeah, that was my husband." She goes, "We got somebody else too." She goes, "Yeah, that's my son." So, any other?